What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be reacting to another video from Stuart. This time, this one is purely about me. Is your mother tongue sabotaging your Spanish? Evildea ALG Analysis. Now, as soon as I saw this video, look at this. We've got like sound files linked up and what looks like Audacity over there. I was like, oh man, I gotta watch this. But my Discord, see, my member section, they're like, Evildea, this video is gonna break your ALG journey. You can't watch it. And I was like, there's gotta be something I can watch from this. And apparently, I am safe to watch up until 14 minutes 30. After which he dives into how to improve my Spanish pronunciation, and I can't watch that. I can't watch that. Why can't I watch that? Because that would be against ALG. That would be me thinking about how Spanish works. But up until 14 minutes 30, I'm allowed. Probably because he's covering Chinese or something else. I don't know. But we're going to watch that much. And then if you guys want to see the Spanish portion, there will be a link down to his video in the description. Like always, of course. So you guys can go give him some love. What's up, grinders?
Hey, wait a minute.
Fuck, bro, just jump scared myself. Was not expecting that. Let's go again.
Hey, wait a minute. Wrong channel. Today we got something special for you. Yes.
Epic intro. Epic. Loved it.
Today, or the day before yesterday, I put a clip out and I was talking about should you speak first or should you wait first before you speak when learning another language? And then I went through my feelings on it and then what I did. But one of the people that I mentioned there was Evildea. Now, Evildea, Richard, has been doing 1,000 hours, or he passed the 1,000 hour mark of the ALG method learning Spanish. And I've been watching this since he started. And
that's awesome. It's actually kind of crazy to find out who's been following the series, because every now and then you'll see someone just drop in the comment section and say, oh yeah, love the video. I'm like, bro, you watch my channel? I've been watching your channel for years.
He has been following it to a T, to the system that they say that you shouldn't be speaking at all, just getting input based on Marvin Brown's theories. And then people reference Krashen as well. And then you see here in Thailand, this ALG system that many people talk about. And I can see why it was put together. And Marvin Brown, the guy who put this course together, is a genius. He's absolutely brilliant, but I don't know if I fully agree with all of the methodology. So I mentioned in my clip there that it was fascinating hearing the 1,000 hour mark.
La mejor serie de Martin Crack is
Of
I love how we've got like the zzz in the backrooms type of sound that we've got. And then if you guys have seen the Backrooms movies or played the games, you know what I'm talking about. It was like we were all in the backrooms right then.
Evildea's Spanish, both looking at how he speaks the language and how whether or not these sounds of Spanish have gotten into his muscles.
¿Cuál es tu color favorito?
Verda. That was literally just Esperanto. That was just literally Esperanto. I think.
¿Verde? ¿Como este? ¿Verde?
Yeah. Yeah, yes.
But I also mentioned in the last clip that for me, one of the reasons why I do speak from the beginning is because I think that from very young, with very different languages that I spoke, and thanks to my grandfather, I got this auditory education, auditory, I guess, intelligence that allowed me to hear sounds agnostically. And so when I learn a language, I'm not just comparing to the sounds in my mother tongue, so Australian English, as you can hear. I'm able to sort of tweak and morph and listen out for things, and then I'll do everything I can to try and shift my mouth and then use a native speaker's ears as almost the mirror. Now, sometimes they don't know how to coach. That's okay. I know how to tweak my mouth, and then I'll keep doing things until it starts to feel more and more natural for them.
You know, I want to talk a little bit about my own journey before we go too far into this. So obviously I started with Esperanto, and when I started learning Esperanto, I knew nothing about language learning at that stage. And realistically, if you watch the very first video on this channel, it's like me 3 months, I believe, after I started learning. I'm just using Australian English, essentially, when speaking Esperanto. Like, you can hear it in the R sounds and pretty much everything, okay? The vowels, the whole works. And then it took me years of speaking with speakers for it to slowly morph into something that sounds less Australian and more kind of internationalized, although there's still that like little bit of a flavor there behind it, and it's kind of true for most Esperanto speakers. Like I learned the specific sounds, as in like, you know, there's certain sounds that don't exist in English, like the throaty H sound and obviously the tapped R, but I didn't even learn that from the beginning. Like, because like for me, learning sounds was like, it's logical now, but when I first started out, there was no one guiding me. I was just like, oh, okay, so it's an R, you know? And then when I went to Chinese, I kind of went in the opposite direction, and I had my wife correcting my pronunciation of the specific sounds early on. And then obviously with Spanish, now I'm just doing the ALG method. So there's been no point where I've gone out and I've learnt like IPA or anything like that. I probably should, but like realistically, it's not something that captures my interest greatly. That would actually make me a lot better language learner if I actually did go do that. Like if you have any interest in learning that type of stuff, I recommend you go do it. It will make you so much better in the long run. But just for me, on the personal level, it's not been the greatest of interests. Maybe if I ever do like a future language challenge, I should like knuckle down and just like spend ages just focusing on just the specific sounds and all that type of stuff of that language before moving into it. You know, do something that I don't like doing, kind of like what I did with the whole ALG thing, and see where that leads in the end.
So, what I thought would be interesting is not only am I going to do that listening to Evildea's Spanish.
Yo familia tienes tengo. Du dos du not hijas, it's brothers. Dos hermanos. Jesus Christ, this is so painful. I forgot what brothers is.
But I'm also going to, and I don't want this to be a super, super long clip, but I'm going to look at how, if I were learning the way he was learning, but not with the ALG method, how would I approach this? What things would I be looking out for, both in the native speakers?
¿Qué más valoras de una amistad? ¿Cuál es el mejor consejo que te han dado?
And then in my own voice. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the native Spanish and the things that I would notice, and then we're going to analyze Evildea's native English.
What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're ready for the 1,000-hour dreaming Spanish update. We are up to video 21 in this series. Check this out.
And so here I've set up this in Audition. This is what I use when I do my speech analyses, especially for Thai and Chinese and stuff, where you can really look at the way that the mouth is used. Oh, by the way, yesterday I saw Evildea jumping here at crackinglanguage.com and looking to see what I had for Chinese. What you see here at crackinglanguage.com, I wanted to always build the ultimate tools that I would use for learning language and phonology and just articulation and stuff. So all of this stuff is free. They're tools that I've built. This one, you can see this is the Qieyun system for Chinese. Now, this is old Chinese that leads into Cantonese. But if you noticed yesterday, this is the same principle on the Sanskrit system, which we use for Thai, which is a GPS system for the human mouth, from the back of the mouth, so all the way to the front. So
the video is very, very jumpy at the moment. It's like, I'm not sure what's going on, but I can understand him, so it's fine.
I said it's actually and then which, if you say it backwards, is where we get the Hanyu Pinyin for Mandarin Chinese. They're just basically reciting the Sanskrit Abugida back to front, which is pretty wild. But Chinese dictionaries used to be laid out in this schema, and you've got the yin-yang tones and the ci and these things. But basically, long story short, all tonal languages from this part of the world kind of run on the same engine. I'm not saying the same tones, but the same engine. And all of those can be mapped to this GPS of the human mouth, which is the Sanskrit Abugida. And I've built the tools to sort of unify them all here. So you can use all these for free, and you don't even have to log in. You can just sort of jump up and use the tools. There is a login section, but it's still in beta. If you want to use it, you can try and use it with OpenAI keys and stuff. I'm working on doing the proper version that you can actually come in and I'll have Chinese programs and Thai programs and whatnot.
That sounds sick. When the Chinese one comes out, I'm totally going to check this out.
But all this stuff you can just use for free, knock yourself out. Those Matt versus Japan fans and Dogen fans, I've built out a full Japanese pitch accent analyzer using some of the key libraries that some of the top dictionaries use in Japan. So you can see here, Heiban, Odaka, Nakataka, they're all there. So I've built all of these tools up actually for my daughter, but basically anyone can come in and use them just like you would normally use with a normal exercise book, but you can use all the tools here. And I've even got things like, you have those books where you handwriting practice for writing characters. And so I've built it in here, but you can even practice your cursive writing. And I've got these special templates that will help get the native angle.
Man, this is insane, the amount of things that he's built into this, and he built it for his daughter. This is insane.
And proportions to your characters. So right now, no need to log in, but that will be coming soon, but feel free to knock yourself out with those tools. But let's get back to Evildea. Okay, so what I want to do is, first of all, look at Evildea's native English, because this is going to give us a baseline of what we're looking to change. Because there are some interesting things that happens when Evildea speaks English just talking to the camera. It's one thing. When he's speaking English, saying things back, responding to the Spanish speakers, some of the things in English change. And then when he's speaking Spanish, some of the things from English come in and superimpose, as well as stuff from Esperanto, which is fascinating. So let's jump in. So before I start this too, apologies, because right now with Audition going, the video, OBS going, my processor is tanking.
Okay, that explains why it's a little bit cracking here. Also, for those who are curious about my accent, like Australian English accent, my accent has been modified because I was an actor for a number of years, and I went through like standardization of my accent as part of some of the training I did, and that kind of always stuck. And I can't undo it anymore. Like, if you heard me standing with my brother speaking, we sound like we're from completely different families. Although I used to have his accent. So it's like, it's interesting that I'm unable to go back to that now.
There might be a bit of jilted stuff going on here, funky stuff.
Say it again and again, because I do hear that it sounds wrong.
Okay, so I'm just picking random specimens, but I want to show you what happens in our mouths as Aussies. Okay, could you hear that there? Let's listen to that.
Say it again and again, because I do hear that it sounds wrong.
Sounds. So in many other versions of English, you've got ow, sounds. But in Australia, we have this ow. And the thing about the Australian accent is that our vowels have these really weird glides, especially with what would be diphthongs, but they turn into triphthongs because they're three sounds. So, for example, ow. But depending on where you are and what level of society is speaking, you might, I guess they call it a really Bogan accent. They will draw that middle bit out. So it goes from ow to ow.
Okay, let's find out if I got the Bogan accent.
Ow. Okay. So with all Australians, you're going to hear some combination of that, and it might change depending on on who they speak with. So have a listen to this in Evildea when he speaks, but listen to that because that starts to reap havoc when you're learning other languages, especially if you don't realize it.
Say it again and again, because I do hear that it sounds wrong.
Sounds. So sounds. It's still a diphthong. It's not too much of an in there, sounds, but it's still very forward. It's not like an ow, which you would have in Spanish, this ow further back.
Wrong? So that part is true.
Now, I notice also with Evildea, that part, now you hear that, but for some, with the way that wherever he grew up, the sound, so that I guess mine's more middle, that his is it's a little more forward, so it's that part. Have a listen.
It sounds wrong. So that part is
that part, it's very forward.
Bro, the way he can just mimic your voice like that, this is like, it's like he's a skinwalker or something. I've never had someone analyze my voice in such depth before. This is crazy. I love it.
There might be some other specimens. I'm just picking random ones out, but these are things that we need to be aware of as Aussie native English speakers, because
I love that he's saying this. Okay, because I don't think you guys realize this. There's so many materials out there designed to teach you languages, but they're designed with the assumption that you're an American. And then in off cases that you're from, you speak British English, but nothing's designed for Australians. So it actually makes it more difficult for us. Like, I remember ages ago when I did look into IPA and they were like giving references to, English words, and I was trying it out and I was like, wait, no, this doesn't sound anything like, and then I thought, oh, that's of course, because Australians, we speak different. So it's like, it can cause us havoc just in that department as well. And it's great that he's an Australian.
they're the things that are going to color whatever language it is that we're learning.
Is true, but intonation
Is true. Now, okay, this was at the end, but this is another thing that happens with Australians. We will go up at the end. It's true. It's true. And I did that. And then I went to the shops and I got in the car. And you hear this up, going up at the end. You'll hear that a lot. And again, especially with tonal languages, I haven't heard it happening on Evildea's Chinese when I've heard it, which is good. But I see with a lot of learners of tonal languages from Australia, it's really tough to get that paradigm of going up at the end.
Yeah, no, that messed me up a lot early on in my Chinese journey, just kind of flattening that out. I know exactly what he's talking about, because like you hear a new Chinese learner from Australia and it's just like, whoa, that sounds different the way they keep raising it.
Out of speaking another language, and when it's done with tonal languages, it just totally reaps havoc on the tones.
Nation patterns, I highly doubt.
Doubt instead of doubt. My doubt is in the middle to the back, but his is doubt. But these are all things that I'd be hyper aware of when I'm listening then to a native speaker of a new language I'm learning, or even an old language I've learned.
And when I actually watched that clip,
Watched. So America would say watched. I would say watched. Or ah. They're very different. So for me, if I knew that was my sound, I would be aware to hear what the target language's sort of open O would be, because I'd know that I'd have to change it. Probably won't be like mine.
of me speaking Spanish with the native, I actually heard my own mistakes.
This is another thing I hear on Evildea's English. Native. I guess sometimes I'm about half where he would, but Evildea will often bring an E or an E down to an Let's see if we can hear any more.
I saw, oh man, why did you say that? That's not actually correct. You should say it like this way. So
This way.
this way. So
This way. Did you hear that? The I, this way. I would say this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. So again, subconsciously, if there's an I, I'd be very, and I knew that I did that with my eyes. I turned my eyes more this way, this way. I don't know if there's any Kiwi in there, but
that's crazy. So my dad is a New Zealander. However, he left New Zealand at, I think it was somewhere around like 9 to 10 years old. And he actually left New Zealand alone as a kid, like jumped on a plane and everything. Like you could do that back then apparently, and came to Australia. Long history for why all that happened, but maybe there's some rub off there from how my dad speaks.
because Kiwis turn their eyes E to I would be aware of that and making sure that in a language an E is an E.
Say it like this way. So I do have some intuitive understanding
Intuitive.
of how the language actually does sound, but
Sound. So again, it's this very frontal and sound.
the way we keep pausing this and listening, I actually, because I've never this intently listened to my own voice before. God, I sound like a Bogan, like a country guy.
sound. Be aware of those very sounds.
I'm not speaking to the level that's mentioned in level 5, and this was for 600 hours. Now, if we go to level 6...
Okay, 6. So are you a Kiwi? Or have you had any... It's this it of the I is really interesting.
Okay, 2 things. So I've had accent training that has changed my voice, so I do sound different to my family. But my dad is a Kiwi, although left Australia young. Left New Zealand young. Okay, so man, you're like the freaking linguistic investigator guy. You know, what's that guy who like picks out where people are in the world just based on a photo? He does it based on a sound.
Maybe it's where you grew up. I'm not sure. Okay. So we've got a baseline of Evildea's English. It's going to get even more interesting then when we get the Spanish.
Oh man, I'm not going to be able to listen to the Spanish. Guys, this video will be linked down in the description. I highly encourage you all to go check out his channel and watch the full video, but I will not be watching the Spanish section purely because it goes against ALG. That's the only reason, because I'm not allowed to analyze, you know, my use of the language. That's part of ALG.
So let's listen to some native Spanish speakers and then see what happens to the way that he hears it and then the way that he repeats the sound, because there's...
Oh no. I was hoping there was going to be like a Chinese section where he would analyze my Chinese. Let me just quickly skip through this. What do we got? Yeah, that's me with Chinese. Spanish speak, Spanish. Bro, I'm gonna miss the best part of the video. Okay, yep, that's all I can watch. I encourage you all to go check out the video. His channel, he's got some crazy in-depth stuff. Mate, if you hang around on my channel, in the next 2 weeks, I'll be dropping my next update in Chinese, where there will be a lot more of me speaking in Chinese. I encourage you to break down my Chinese and let me know where I'm going wrong, you know, so I can try and catch this stuff before I really start cementing stuff in. So yeah, let me know. That's pretty much it. I've really enjoyed this video. Never listened to myself so goddamn intently before. Wow, that is weird. And I'll see you all in the next video. And if you're not there, we will analyze your voice and figure out exactly where you are. Or at least where you came from.